Hello, and welcome to episode 53 of Things I've Learned from Barry Harris. Today I thought we would talk about another very important arpeggio. In the last video we talked about, primarily talking about a dominant chord, and one of the important arpeggios was from the 7th of a dominant. So we said D7, we used as an example, and we used the C major arpeggio. Today we're going to talk about another important arpeggio, which is the one that's found on the 5th. So in the case of, let's say, D7, we'll use as an example. We're going to talk about the arpeggio that's found on the 5th, which is A, and it happens to be A minor. So in Barry's language, he says an arpeggio is a triad, which in this case would be A, C, E, or A minor. And then it's the bottom note repeated on top again. So it would be A, C, E, and then A again. So it would be this. That's for D7. Then you have to learn to invert it. So we have A, C, E, A. Then we have C, E, A, C. Then we have E, A, C, E. Then we're back to A, C, E, A again. And you have to do it up and down. And then down. So now this is one of the reasons that when he sees A minor 7 to D7, he only has to think in his head all the stuff that he knows for D7, because as you see, A minor is included in the things that he knows for D7. Okay, so let's think about things that we can do with that arpeggio. So we just inverted it, which is nice. We can also do other things with it that are also pretty and can help create lines. Let's take, for example, instead of just doing the first arpeggio up, let's start with a half step below the first note and then come up the arpeggio. So we'll say, let's do from the third, with the same idea of putting a half step below the third. Now let's put a half step below the 5th, which is a pretty... So let's say if we were using again, we used for an example of an A minor 7 to a D7 for a measure piece going into G major. Let's see if we can make that work. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful idea. Beautiful idea. Let's do the one from the 3rd. Let's see. Nice also. Let's do the run from the root. 1, 2, 3. That one I did a pickup on, but because I feel like I keep starting on the same beat. So there's a perfect example of using a half step below of each one of them. Now, what if you did a half step below 2 of them? So that time I put a half step below the root and a half step below the 3rd. So let's try that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a nice one too. How about if I put a half step below the 3rd and then the 5th and then come up the rest of the arpeggio? So it'd be... Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do something different. 2, 3, 4. Really beautiful. Let's say, let's surround each one of them. So we can surround them with a whole step above, or I'm sorry, not a whole step above, but a scale note above and a half step below. So it'll be this. That would be what surrounds the A. Then we'll use to surround the C, the D, and the B. Now the 5th will do something a little bit different. We'll surround it with a half step above, because Barry likes the sound of the half step above for the 5th when you're talking about the minor. So that's a nice one. So now we got this. For the root, for the 3rd, and for the 5th. So if we continue it, which are really nice. Backwards. Really beautiful over let's try to create a line with it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Or how about if we do it from the third? Nice too. How about from the fifth? That's a nice one too. Try again. That time I surrounded the fifth here. Or whatever I finished it with. But that time I did it coming down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Really nice stuff. Another thing sometimes he does is he'll say, let's go, so let's descend. Let's descend from the tonic here. There's our arpeggio. But instead we're going to start with a scale tone above, and we're going to put 1/2 step between the scale tone above and the actual note of the arpeggio. So we'll say, which is beautiful. And we'll do the same thing for the fifth, which would be the sixth. We'll do the same, oh, well, in this case it's the, we're still thinking D7 scale, and now we'll do the same thing for the third. So we're starting on the scale note above, putting 1/2 step below. Now we should be able to come up with cool phrases from that. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Or how about 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a nice one. Let's do from the third. 1, 2, 3. Also a nice phrase. And that's just taking the arpeggios and putting a scale note above and putting a 1/2 step. So when you start looking at dominance like this, in the last video we looked at just thinking of the C major arpeggio, which has C, E, G. This one has A, C, E, and yeah, it's got 2 of the same notes in it. But when you start to see it from the minor point of view, it brings out other little interesting things. So the first step would be to identify where those minor arpeggios are on your instrument, all your A minors, every place. And then see them when you're thinking about A minor to D7. Try to really see where that is on your instrument. I know saxophone and other instruments where you can't really visualize it, but still you have to be able to finger it. So that's your second important arpeggio. Another important arpeggio, I should say, from Barry. And I know there's plenty of other things that you can play on D7, but I just wanted to focus on, we should focus on really smaller things first. I know a lot of people like to, they call it superimpose different scales over different things, which is fine. But I think primarily we have to learn how to play pretty on D7 first before we start messing around with any of the rest of that stuff. And when you learn how to play pretty on D7, you realize you don't really need to mess around with that other stuff. There's a million different things you can infinite amount of things you can come up with just playing pretty on D7. Oh, but the other thing I should point out is all of these things, in the same way that all those things were true A minor, D7 going to G major in the last video, it's also true here. This A minor to D7 also goes to D flat major, because D7 is the tritone of A flat 7. So D7 can also act as going to D flat major. So everything we had here was D7 going to G major, which is a nice resolution. But if you think about it, you could play this D7 going to D major. So like if we were playing, let's say if we were playing Body and Soul. Step above the A minor. So let's see. let's do the one from the third. So let's say. Beautiful also. So you see how the D7, if you really know a D7, you have to know D7 running into G major, and you also have to know D7 running into D flat major, which is really beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed this short, hopefully but sweet lesson, episode 53 of yet another very important arpeggio. Thanks, until next time.